You know, when you see what China's doing all over the world, I mean, they're building massive ports in places like Pakistan, funding entire railway systems across Africa, and beefing up their military at like a wild pace. It really makes you stop and think, is there some kind of master plan behind all of this? I mean, are these just random, opportunistic moves? Or are we actually watching a carefully laid out, long-term plan unfold right before our eyes? It's a massive question, right? And the answer, well, it pretty much shapes everything in global politics. So, let's get into it.
See, we're not just talking about some simple policy or your average 5-year plan here. No, we're on the hunt for the blueprint, the whole shebang, the big picture. And in the world of geopolitics, there's a name for that kind of blueprint. It's called a grand strategy. And that's our mission today, to figure out if China actually has one.
Okay, so if we're going to investigate this, we first need to know what to look for, right? What exactly turns a bunch of actions into a real, honest-to-goodness grand strategy? Well, a grand strategy is basically the ultimate national project. This isn't just about armies and international agreements. Oh no, it's way bigger. Imagine a plan that takes everything a country has, its economy, its tech, its political influence, its culture, even its military, and gets it all marching to the beat of the exact same drum. And they're all pointed towards one single, gigantic, long-term goal. So, from what experts say, any true grand strategy has these 5 key components. You can think of this as our detective's checklist. First, you need super ambitious goals. Then, a massive scope and some serious high-level coordination. But it goes deeper. You also need a really compelling story, something that gives the nation its pulse. And last but not least, an ultimate purpose. The Greeks had a great word for this, telos. It's the big why behind everything. All right, we've got our checklist. Let's start digging for evidence. First question on the list. Does China have ambitious goals and a clear game plan? Let's see. I mean, just listen to this. This isn't some fuzzy, hopeful wish. This is a direct quote from a major speech laying out the whole vision. We are talking about the ambition to totally reshape a country of 1.4 times billion people and turn it into a dominant world power. And that's the key thing to get here. This isn't just talk. It's an official, stated national goal. And get this, the plan is broken down into super concrete steps. This isn't some pie-in-the-sky dream for 100 years from now. It's a roadmap. It's got deadlines. The goal for 2025? Lead in high-tech manufacturing. By 2035, become the world's leader in innovation. And then, the big one, by 2050, achieve what they call the Great Rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. Let's be real, that's code for superpower status.
So how are they going to pull this off? Well, they're using this really interesting 2-track strategy. It's kind of like a 1-2 punch. On one hand, you've got the liberal approach. Think of this as the economic game, using massive projects like the Belt and Road Initiative to build influence, make friends, and create what they always call win-win situations. But then on the other hand, there's the realist approach. This is the hard power play, a crazy fast military buildup, and an active defense posture to protect their turf and become the dominant player in the region. So you see, it's money and muscle working together.
Okay, so let's check our list. Ambitious goals? Check. Massive scope and coordination? It sure looks like it, but what about that pulse, that compelling narrative? Remember, every great plan needs a powerful story to get everyone on board and fired up. And in China's case, wow, that story is incredibly powerful. It's all built around what's known as the Century of Humiliation. We're talking about a 100-year period from the 1800s to the 1900s where China was basically carved up, invaded, and bossed around by foreign powers. And you have to understand, this isn't just some dusty old history lesson. It's a deep national wound, and it's absolutely fundamental to how China sees itself today. And that's where the pulse comes from. The entire strategy is framed as the answer to that historical wound. The story is all about national revival, about finally shaking off that injustice and taking back what they see as their rightful place in the world. So when you hear that phrase, Great Rejuvenation, just know it's not just a political catchphrase. It is the emotional engine driving this entire machine. So let's recap where our investigation has led us. We found the ambitious goals, we've seen the massive scope and the tight coordination, and we've definitely found that powerful, compelling narrative. But there's still one box on our checklist that's empty. And honestly,
it might just be the most important piece of the puzzle. Ambitious goals? Check. Massive scope and coordination? Check. A compelling narrative? A big check. But what about that last thing, that ultimate purpose, the telos?
Right? Telos. It's an old Greek idea, but it's simple. It's the ultimate why. It answers the question, for what? You build all this power. For what? You become a superpower. To do what? See, a true grand strategy doesn't just give you the roadmap to get to the top. It tells you what you're going to do once you're there. It defines what all that power is for.
And this, right here, is the twist in our investigation. China's plan is unbelievably detailed when it comes to the how to grow the economy, how to modernize the military, how to build influence. It is a flawless blueprint for the journey. But it's almost completely silent on the destination. It explains the rise perfectly, but it doesn't explain the reason.
So what we found is something that looks, walks, and talks like a grand strategy in almost every single way, except for this huge, glaring question mark right at the end. The final destination is a blank page. After the rise, what is the purpose? What kind of world does China want to build? And figuring that out? Well, that's not just some thought experiment. It's maybe one of the single most important questions facing the entire world today.